conditions or faculty teaching conditions, faculty working conditions. Right. That's what we used to say all day, every day. All day, every day. And so the former president, James Rosser, right? He used to also be negligent and refusing to meet with the Black and brown campus community, right? And so me and my classmates, we mobilized countless marches, protests, sit-ins, in resistance to his administrative tyranny. And not once did he ever show up. Not once did this dude ever show his face. He used to send his lackeys, the provost or the vice president, to try to like quell us. And so, as bad and as atrocious as the situation was back then 10 years ago, right? That's not to say that Rosser was a better leader or that campus police was better back then. What I'm saying is it's evident that things have only worsened since my time on campus, right? And so in all of those protests, in the heat and the turbulence of all of those actions, not once were campus police ever instructed to put hands on students, faculty, and staff in the way that campus police put their hands on Dr. Abdullah last Sunday, right? You feel me? And we were loud. We were disruptive. We were unapologetically confrontational. And yet that never happened. Now, don't get me wrong. Many of us experienced harassment by campus police, but nothing ever happened like that, right? And so what I'm saying is this theater right here, where Dr. Abdullah was peacefully seated, right? She was peacefully seated, and she was, she was calm, she was non-disruptive, and she was sitting in the rearmost aisle of the theater, a theater that me and my classmates held numerous events that enriched the campus community, right? That brought notoriety and value to the campus. And so I'm saying all this to say, right, that, again, the swift a theater that me and my classmates held numerous events that enriched the campus community, right? That brought notoriety and value to the campus. And so I'm saying all this to say, right, that, again, the swift
are a threat to learning.
Yes, that's right.
So I invite everybody to just take a deep breath in and release. We know that as we struggle for the freedom of our people, we know as we struggle for a transformed world that is fit for the inhabitants of our children, we know that as we struggle for the most radical imaginings that have been ushered forward to this point by people like Dr. C.R.D. Habisi, by people like Dr. Michael B. Preston, by my beloved student, Sister Monique. We know that we will be met with violent forces that seek to dissuade us, intimidate us, and bring us harm.
Come on.
We know that that's what policing in this country was designed to be and has always been. Right. And we know that those forces come in uniforms and out of uniforms. Mm-hmm. We know that white men who speak loudly in an attempt to intimidate Black women and Black mothers do so with the full backing of the state.
Right.
And so our charge is to keep our eyes on the prize. Yes. Our charge is to struggle forward.
Yes.
Our charge is to know that when we fight, we win.
That's right.
Our charge is to take every moment and use it as one that brings us closer to that prize, to that victory that is surely coming. I'm not confused about what this moment is. When we talk about the harm that was brought to me and this entire community on May Day, on the last day of Ramadan, on the first day of Teacher Appreciation Week, all of those things come together and remind us that there is power in every single moment. So even though I was violated, even though I was harmed, even though I was victimized and brutalized and make no doubt about it, treated with the utmost violence, I want to lift up that that's not the first time that Cal State LA as an institution that is grounded in white supremacist, patriarchal, heteronormative capitalism, even as a public university, it's grounded in that, and that's what William Covino represents.
That's right.
Even though they used their violent police force against us, even though they did these things, even though they locked out students at a public university, it's not the first time. William Covino started here in 2013. I can tick off a list of things that have happened. Carlos Montes had to stand with us as we took over the campus in 2014 when the same institution under Covino's misleadership tried to block an ethnic studies requirement. Some of us remember being inside the university student union when forces like the white supremacist loudmouth that you hear today were protected by this institution. Ben Shapiro was allowed to come to this campus and protected by university police and university administration as Black folks and brown folks and poor folks and trans folks were harmed. We have to remember what this institution did when our Black students and brown students and working class students demanded access and went to their president's office to make that demand. One of them, whose brother had been recently murdered by police. What does this person who claims to care about the mental health of his students do? He calls the police on them. We have to remember many of us stood and demanded the College of Ethnic Studies, which we fought for and won, that he refused to meet with not just me, not just Dr. Thomas, not just our students, but people like Congresswoman Maxine Waters, but leaders of organizations like the NAACP and SCLC, and yes, Black Lives Matter. For his entire tenure at this university, Covino has proven himself to be anti-Black. The most recent example was me being not dragged, not pulled, but literally carried out and tugged on all four limbs by campus police.
Shame.
My legs propped open on the last day of Ramadan. I can say to you as a Black Muslim woman, that was the ultimate in humiliation and degradation and dehumanization. The only reason that I am free, the only reason that the only thing that hurts is my neck and shoulder and ankles, is because of the love and support and courage of community. The community that's come time and time again. Miss Italy, can you come with me? Come up here.
It's the hero.
Jason, where are you at? Jason, where are you at? Can you come up? Brother Jason, I've worked with for the last few years to challenge state-sanctioned violence as a part of Black Lives Matter. Miss Italy, I'd never laid eyes on before in my life. But as my legs were propped open and they were carrying me out the door, Miss Italy said, put her down and let her walk with some dignity. The two of them and many of those who are in this crowd, Augustine, Stephanie, so many others, about 50 folks, they're the reason that I wasn't loaded up into a police car and I was able to get home to my children. I teach here because this is a public university. I teach here because I went to an HBCU, a historically Black college, Howard University, and I was looking to serve in the same way that those professors served me. That's right. I was looking to serve students who may have never gone to university had there not been a public means for them to be here. I was looking to serve students in ways that manifest in the classroom, but also manifest outside the classroom. And so I'm grateful to serve the students, and I am appalled and horrified and frankly hurt by this institution. I am hurt that Rafe Shonen Brown Institute, who I've had probably 100 meals with, called the police on me and watched as the police violated me.
Shame.
I am appalled
Shame.
that they call William Covino, who daily brings harm to Black folks, while touting diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, right, as words, but actually does the opposite. I am appalled that after they did this to me, no one from the university reached out to me, to Dr. Thomas, to the students who were harmed, to the community that was harmed. Instead, they doubled down on their white supremacy by issuing a lying statement that further brings harm. And so we say this. They might claim this is theirs, but we say this is the people's university.
Right. That's right. That's right.
I've been here 20 years as a professor. This is my university.
That's right.
This is your university. And we ain't going nowhere.
Covino. Covino gotta go. Covino must go.
Covino must go.
Covino must go.
Covino must
Covino must
go.
go.
We also say, you know who else is on their way out? Campus police.
Campus police.
Campus police. We say we are going to build a people's university with care, not cops. Care not cops. Care not cops. Care not cops. Care not cops.
Care not cops.
Care not cops.
Care not cops.
We're also saying if this is a people's university, there will be no more events on this campus that lock out students, that lock out faculty, and that lock out community. This is the people's university. Whose university?
The People's University.
Whose university?
The People's University.
Whose university?
The People's University.
And that's what I have to say. And I'm sure that we will win. Because when we fight,
We win.
we fight,
We win.
we fight,
We win. Ashe.
Okay, so I'm gonna just put it out there right now. I am traumatized. And to see my sister Melina pulled out of one of our campuses at a public open forum was not only devastating to me, but just where am I safe? Right? My name is Monique Miller, and I'm a lecturer, faculty at Cal State Fullerton in the Department of Criminal Justice. I am also the AVP lecturer at South for CFA. I am also one of the tri-chairs of the Women's Caucus of CFA. And our press release about this incident will be released today. But what I wanted to do is come and show solidarity, not only with the LA chapter, but with Melina Abdullah and Professor Thomas. Because if you notice the anti-Black racism that is on this campus, believe it, it is on all 23 campuses.
Right.
CFA is an anti-racism and social justice union, and we have fought and clawed to make these issues known. And as I did say that our press release will come out later, but I do want to point out one thing. CFA demands the Cal State University system take concrete, transparent, because y'all know they hide behind closed doors.
Right.
And they make decisions that end up pulling a sister out of a debate.
Right.
You cannot tell me, as someone who studied criminal justice in the state of California for over 30 years, that it wasn't decided if she show up.
Right.
Put it out there. If she show up, this is what we gonna do.
Right.
Yeah, well, guess what? You did it, now we done showed up.
Right. That part.
You didn't come. You didn't come for our faculty, you didn't come for our students, you didn't come for our staff. CFA did. And we will every time.
Woo!
We want genuine actions to address ugly, systemic. Look it up. Anti-Black racism on all 23 campuses. Furthermore, CFA strongly urges Interim Chancellor Jolene Kester to immediately take action to convene a wide and representative group of diverse and inclusive stakeholders to research I'm so upset. I gotta calm down. Offer system-wide recommendations to implement alternatives to university police.
Mm-hmm.
This comes down on campus. That didn't start with faculty and staff. That started with our students in 2018. Right. No harm, disarm.
Right.
Right? Because we had Milo, we had Ben Shapiro, and they was walling out. Right? So our students in 2018 said, right? Care not cops. Cats not cops. Our students have been demanding this since 2018. This work group was won by our contract, right, with the Chancellor's office, that we would build a statewide working group to look at alternatives to policing on campus. Melina, we love you, and I hate that this situation, they just get us that demand. And we're not satisfied. This is not the end of the conversation. Right. But again, we stand at CFA, we stand with our chapter and with the demands. And yes, I agree, Covino has to go. Thank you.
Yes.
Good afternoon. My name's Dr. Molly Talcott. I'm a professor of sociology here at Cal State LA. I'm also chair of representation for the statewide California Faculty Association and chair of faculty rights on the Cal State LA campus for our union. For more than a dozen years that I've been a professor here at Cal State LA, I have witnessed Dr. Melina Abdullah, my colleague, my friend, day in and day out, sometimes quietly, sometimes not, make enormous contributions to the Cal State LA campus and our surrounding communities. If you read the flowery mission statements that Cal State LA puts on its website, words without works, she does the works. I've witnessed also, with my blue eyes and my white skin, the way that she and I, both students of bell hooks who believe education is a practice of freedom, have been treated quite differently. The repression I face pales literally in comparison to the repression, the disrespect that she's faced on this campus. May 1st was only a culmination of a long trend.
Right.
She is beloved by our students and respected by our colleagues who know she is a highly effective teacher, scholar, activist, and change maker on the campus and beyond.
Right.
Before the pandemic, when she and I used to walk around campus, walk this loop, we couldn't walk but maybe 10 feet before a student would wave boisterously, their face lit up with a smile, calling out Dr. Abdullah, hugging her, thanking her for all the ways in which she had contributed to their intellectual adventures and accomplishments. I'm not exaggerating. I am probably understating how beloved she is by our students. Her violent, degrading, humiliating treatment by the Cal State LA authorities and their armed police force is reprehensible. It's authoritarian. It's anti-democratic to the core. As her faculty colleagues, and there are many here.
Yeah. Yeah.
We will not tolerate the violence. We will not tolerate the violation of her academic freedom, the deep disrespect to both her bodily integrity and to her reputation that Dr. Molina Abdullah has experienced at the hands of Cal State LA campus administration on May Day, on the last day of Ramadan, during which she was devoutly fasting, and on the eve of Teacher Appreciation Week. We will simply, as her faculty colleagues, not be complicit in state violence against faculty, which is what transpired last night.
Right.
Moreover, as has been stated, this is a public university. This is the people's university. It is not a privatized playground for political and academic administrator elites. The public pays for this building. And Cal State LA students pay additional fees for this building, the University Student Union. Yet Cal State LA officials decided to exclude students and faculty from the near empty mayoral debate. An election whose outcome will deeply impact the future of our city. When Dr. Abdullah, who's also a political scientist, took her seat at the event, Cal State LA used its armed police force to physically harm and humiliate her. Open the LA Times and you'll see my colleague's legs spread wide open by 4 cops in Section B of Monday's paper. At a moment when people's, and especially women's, and even more so Black women's rights to bodily autonomy are being stripped away by the Supreme Court, and there's much righteous rage about this development. It's important to know that right here on our campus, police intimidate, traumatize, and violate the bodily integrity and sovereignty of our students and faculty on a routine basis. Their very presence is a threat and a trauma trigger to our students, our colleagues, our community here. The assault against Dr. Abdullah was no aberration. Like I said, a culmination, perhaps, of her treatment over the years. And it's no coincidence that their violent use of force has been against a Black woman whose known for her work in the Black freedom struggle and in the struggle for human rights for all.
That's right.
If police do this to a world-renowned professor, right, winner of the Sydney Peace Prize, winner of the Chatham House Award in relationship to Black Lives Matter, what are they doing to our students?
Right.
94% of whom are students of color on this campus.
Speak
many
on
of
it.
whom are undocumented. What are they doing to our students at the dorms, away from the cell phone cameras?
Speak on it.
Students here at a campus that employs 17 cops and only 8 mental health counselors, all of whom are on temporary contracts. 17 cops, 8 mental health counselors, all of whom are on temporary contracts. And students across the CSU too are demanding cops off campus and counselors, not cops. They're not cops. Many, that's right, they're not cops.
They're not cops. They're not cops. They're not cops.
Down at Red Level, I'm going to say that many of our faculty and our faculty union stand with them. The latest abuse against Dr. Abdullah only further illustrates the urgency of our demands. As for the assault on Dr. Abdullah herself, we will not rest until those responsible for this egregious form of abuse against Cal State LA's very own employee of 20 years are held to account. President William A. Covino is responsible for the way his employees and students are treated and mistreated on this campus. He has failed, as have the existing policies on this campus, which are in dire need of radical transformation. Students, faculty, staff, and community will transform the People's University. That's right. Dr. Molina Abdullah said it. We're going to build a democratic, inclusive, anti-racist university, free from the misogyny, the anti-blackness, and the weaponization of those forms of domination by campus police that surrounded the events of May 1st. Yes. Thank you. Peace to all. Thank you.
Woo! All right, Molly. To the microphone. I know you've been so patient with us, and there are so many of us who want to speak, and we could be here all day to do that. There are other voices that we want you to hear, but we unfortunately don't have time for that, including those whose loved ones have been stolen by police. So we just want to thank you for being patient with us. We are wrapping up shortly, but please bear with us as we begin to conclude our program.
How's everybody doing today?
All right.
All right. My name is Anthony Ratcliffe. I'm a professor here in the Department of Panoramic Studies, and I'm here today in my duties as the chapter president of the California Faculty Association, Cal State LA, Los Angeles chapter.
Woo! That's my union. Hey.
Melina is our union sister, right? Our union sibling. And they must not recognize that an injury to one is an injury to all. Right? We're not going to sit there and allow the university, the administration, and the police to manhandle her, pick her up, to throw her about, and get away with it. We're not going to do that. Right? So we're here today to represent, to stand in solidarity with Melina, to stand in solidarity with the community, and to let them know it's not going to go down like this, right? And so we passed a resolution. CFA LA passed the resolution in support of Dr. Abdullah. It's really long. I'm not going to read the whole thing. There's a lot of whereases and what have yous and all those kind of things. I'm just going to get down to the nitty gritty, right? I'm going to read the last few. So just so you know, this has been a long struggle of Cal State LA students, faculty, and others to try to get cops off campus. This is something we've been trying to do for many, many years, right? And so in our struggle to try to do that, Covino's never once wanted to meet with us. He doesn't want to meet with us. But what he did do is he created these little stupid things called, these things called care teams, which might help some people, right? A care team. And so he created these care teams, which are supposed to be alternatives to policing, right? Different ways to go out and support somebody if there's non-threatening, non-life-threatening situation. The care team's supposed to go out and help rather than the police. However, they didn't do that with Dr. Abdullah, right? They came out with police, guns in hand, ready to roll, picked her up and pulled her around like a rag doll. And that's a sign that they don't respect her, they don't respect Black people on this campus.
Right.
So, I'm going to read this part of the resolution just so you know where we're at. Whereas Cal State LA administration chose to ignore the care team practices and instead deployed the campus police to violently confront Dr. Melina Abdullah on May 8, 2020 at the Los Angeles Mayoral debate in the University Student Union, which seats 192 people. but only had 20 people in there at the time, right? So this idea that it was too crowded, shouldn't have been in there, it's bull crap. And as James Thomas says, there was no black people in there, right? So that's the problem. Right. Whereas Ralph Schunenstein, the current executive director of the Pat Brown Institute for Public Affairs, called campus police and instigated the violent removal of Dr. Molina Abdullah, right? So a person called the cops on her. We all know what happens when they call the cops on black folks, right? A lot of times people end up dead. So this idea that you can call the police and get away with it, nah, that ain't gonna happen, right? Whereas Dr. Molina Abdullah was targeted and forcefully, violently, and physically removed from her seat, dragged down the aisle, and carried out of the University Student Union by 4 armed officers, each pulling on a different limb of her body as she cried out, "You're hurting me." Whereas CFA condemns the mistreatment of Dr. Molina Abdullah, a Cal State LA professor, Pan Studies, and an active union leader for the past 20 years, right? Condemned it. Whereas President William A. Covino is ultimately responsible for the safety of all students, faculty, and staff, especially at events on Cal State LA campus, including those organized by the Pratt Brown Institute. Whereas instead of reaching out to Dr. Abdullah to inquire about her well-being following the violent incident, President William A. Covino added insult to injury by instructing the communications and public affairs team to release a statement intended to further demonize her. Right. Whereas President William A. Covino and the other administrators involved must be held accountable for fostering a campus climate that allows campus police to physically harm and violently drag an esteemed faculty member rather than to de-escalate and resolve the incidents peacefully. Right. Therefore, be it resolved, CFA-LA demands that all cops, all police officers involved with the incident be immediately terminated.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Be it resolved, we demand that the redirection of any funding earmarked to campus police go to community-led alternatives to policing and the removal of all armed officers from our campus. Resolved, Grace Sunshine should be removed as the executive director of the Pat Brown Institute for violating mission, vision, and values, and the university-wide principles for equity, diversity, inclusion, and belonging to Cal State LA. Resolved, CFLA also calls upon the Cal State LA Academic Senate to hold a vote of no confidence in the leadership of President Covino. Finally, resolved, if the vote of no confidence is successful, we urge interim Chancellor Jolene Kessler to immediately remove William A. Covino as Cal State LA campus president.
Yes.
When we fight,
we win.
Fight.
We win. Oh ho, Covino has got to go.
Hi everyone, I'm Anita and I'm with Students for Quality Education, and I am here on behalf of everyone else as we stand with Molina. On Sunday, when I watched that video, time and time again we see how Black and brown women are constantly being brutalized, criminalized for holding space and speaking out time and time again. You know what that does to us as Black and brown people? Coming to a university where we're learning, we know that the universities were not made for us, they were made to assimilate us. But we're here. We're here. And it's harmful to see that one of our beloved professors, that happened to her. Imagine if they do that to her, what do they do to the other students? We've been seeing more cops on campus. The other day I saw a cop on the main walkway. That made me feel horrible. That made me feel horrible. There is no reason why on this campus we should have police officers criminalizing Black and brown students. Time and time again, we're criminalized while getting an education.
That's right.
An education. We're still living in colonial times. It is not fair that we have to fight for our lives consistently while we're getting murdered.
Right.
It's not fair. We want a better future for our kids. This hurts. This fucking hurts. It hurts because we can't even feel comfortable on a university campus. We condemn what happened. William Covino needs to be removed. Campus police needs to be removed, and more funding towards student services needs to happen. There are not enough mental health counselors on campus. We're underfunded in that. Last semester, 41 students were on the wait list. Every student was getting seen by a counselor once a month. That is a problem. It is a problem when we're funding police $5 million. For what? For what? It's ridiculous. They criminalize us every time we're here, and we have to be on our tippy toes every time we're here. We're fighting for our lives. We're fighting for the future of the other generations that are coming, because the youth is going to hold us too.
Right.
Immediate removal of William Covino and the immediate removal of campus police. This has got to stop. Thank you.
All right,
So we want to thank you for just standing with us, and let's make sure that we love on Dr. Molina, and let's love on one another. This is a public university is what she screamed when they dragged her out, lifting her up, and violated her. And what we're teaching them is that this will be a people's university, and they will be held accountable.
Yes. Absolutely.
We want to thank the NAACP, Black Lives Matter, UTLA. We want to thank UCFA. We want to thank all of the students, faculty, and staff and community who spoke Black Women for Wellness. If I have not called your name, know that we see you nonetheless. Thank you for your time.